Yes. All right. Hello. No. How's my microphone? I am very, very intrigued by this. Wait, why is there no one watching? Is there anyone here? Is there something wrong with the stream? Hi. Hello. Hi, Michelle. The goat is live. Hello. Dick Cheney is dead. Yeah, I didn't know how to put in... wait, hold on. Yeah, you haven't caught a Chris live in a while. I'm very warm right now. Also, slight issue. I didn't go pee. But I'll stay here for a couple of seconds. Also, was thinking, would anyone watch me play games on Sundays? Like, just watch me play, like, whatever fucking game I wanted. I feel like that'd be an interesting thing to do. Hey Sophie, hey everyone. I didn't really plan the stream as well because I've been working on a video which I don't know if any of you guys would be interesting. I want to call it Hassan Piker shocks his dog, and what I want to talk about is not like a litigation of whether Hassan shocks Kaya or not, because I don't think Hassan does shock Kaya. Like, I think if you listen to people who actually know him, people who are around him, people who've looked after Kaya, that it's nothing like that. But I think that ultimately what I feel about it is that it's kind of like this massively outsized thing. I mean, JD Vance spoke about it. It's bled into like my YouTube shorts and stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether I'd have to see what I could play. I mean, I've been playing Bloodborne, but I don't think there'd be much interest in me playing that. But yeah. Anyway, the reason I talk about Hassan shocking his dog. Actually, I'm changing the title for "Is No More." Hold on. The reason is I don't think Hassan shocks his dog. Listen to the people. It's gone. Election day. I don't think Hassan shocks his dog. The point is like the outsized like thing, and I think like what I feel about him is. What I feel about it is that it's basically just a way to be outraged about Hassan, and you look at how it operates. These people always need some other who is entirely different to them to be transcending the social limits in the way in which they behave. And I think it's so interesting as well, because there's loads of videos of Ethan Klein talking about cats dying and like how much he likes cats dying. But there's also one of like Asmongold just being like, I hate beagles. I've never actually finished Bloodborne. But yeah, I was thinking about calling it Hassan shocks his dog and talking about the talking about like, you know, like basically just like the Hassan outrage complex that's like a thing of just trying to deplatform Hassan. Also, we'll watch this again later when more people get here, but I've just been sent this. I've seen it on my Twitter, but I haven't had a chance to watch it because I was moving through it.
When did that happen?
Just earlier this morning.
Oh.
Just earlier this morning.
When did that happen?
Just earlier this morning.
It's more that he's like trying to hold back a smile. Look.
When did that happen?
Just earlier this morning.
Oh god. Oh fucking hell, that is amazing. Oh Jesus like, I mean, you know, anyone who knows anything, like, look, I don't know that much. This is just called Future Adam Curtis B-roll, which is funny if you know who Adam Curtis is. And there's a brilliant, I also was sent, Tony Soprano Lover just sent me a brilliant tweet that's a reply to it. Do you think like Ethan Klein and like fucking Lonerbox and stuff will be doing like a memory stream? Like, fuck this guy, fuck Dick Cheney. Well, actually, you know what? It's a pity. You know, if I speak, I'm in big trouble. Big trouble. I'm actually... Oh, Hassan tweeted that as well. Sorry, I'm also going to upload... I'm going to upload that I am live on YouTube, but I don't know how to mute this microphone easily. So I'm going to have to work out how to, like, do this. Hey everyone, the war criminal Dick Cheney is dead, and that is good. I probably shouldn't post that. Hey everyone, I am live on YouTube, and first of all, the war criminal Dick Cheney, he's gone. He's no more. The link's up here. No. Oh, fuck. You've seen me re-record this now. Hey everyone, I'm live on YouTube, but more importantly, the war criminal Dick Cheney is dead, and I'm going to be covering this kind of stuff. And I'm also going to be covering a bit about the New York elections that are going on today with Zoran Mamdani and his Sharia law plans for New York City, and then some general other news. So if you want to come say hi, link is here. If you're seeing this on TikTok, link is in the damn bio. I think I may have said link twice. I hear some children making noises outside. I don't like that. Hold on. This is one of my most bestest stories. I'm in a good mood today, as you can tell. No, I'm not recording a TikTok. I'm just making a live announcement to say I'm live. Oh, goodness me. I can't wait for NYC Sharia law. Neither can I. Did you see the Newsmax guy doing anti-Semitism? No? When did the Newsmax guy do anti-Semitism? I also really wish I could show you a TikTok that's been looming large in my mind today, which is of Trey, Kyle MacLachlan, and Charlotte from Sex and the City, both, like, doing the... I wake in the morning and I step outside and I think to myself, what's going on? Sorry. Hold on. I'm live on YouTube, but more importantly, the war criminal Dick Cheney is dead, and I'm going to be covering this kind of stuff, and I'm also going to be covering a bit about the New York elections that are going on. Sorry, right, now you have my full undivided attention. I did hear about Cruel Happy World, but I don't really care to watch, like, maybe I should just put Ethan back in the title just to bring some viewers in. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I can't be bothered. What do you think about the volume, by the way? Sex in the City, Who and Who? Charlotte, yeah. It's about 4 minutes in. What's about 4 minutes in? Okay, right. Where did they post it? On YouTube? I'm now just clicking over and over again on YouTube Studio. Also, I don't know if any of you play CSGO, but years ago when I played CS, when I first started playing, the first case I ever opened, I got an AK-47 Vulcan, factory new. And I was like, oh, you know what? I'll have a look at what's become of it. I sold it for £40. It is now worth £1,000. And I was like, oh my god, if I kept some of the CS skins I had, I would be a multi-millionaire. Volume is good. Good. Do you like the sound of what's happening? Does it? I think, to be honest, I was listening to some of my previous live clips and it was wow. It was fire. Also, I think maybe I will like start uploading some of the things. Knives are crazy expensive. One time I won bets and I had 2 karambit Dopplers. No, I had a karambit Doppler and I had an M9 bayonet Doppler. And I gambled them away, which is incredible. Friends of Chris Kunzler, Bad Hasbara.
I'm sorry.
Reading a Jewish person.
I'll see if I can find this actual clip because I don't know if I want to sit here.
I guess now it's.
Oh my god. Trans female rabbis campaign for Zoran Mamdani. I'll be voting for him. I'll be voting for him.
More so like, chickens for KFC with this whole Mamdani thing, or like cows for McDonald's here. Look, I mean, I don't know why any person who would be a Jewish person, who would be an American person, someone who lived through 9/11, which I did in New York City, being born and raised here, would be ready to vote for someone who has such ties to extremists. And there's nothing wrong with like actual American Muslims, especially you have like Nation of Islam, who are like Black American Muslims, people like that. But
aren't the Nation of Islam like one of who is it that believes who is it that believes that all historical figures were black? That's not the Nation of Islam, is it? That like believed that like Mozart was black. Because I saw those people. Who claims it? Because I saw someone outside Clapham Junction train station, and they just had like a picture of loads of people as black.
this guy, Mamdani, there's so many extreme people that he's been aligned with, and for this to have happened.
Black Israelites. Is that the Black Israelites, or who is it that believes every... Yeah, that's who it is. It's the Black Israelites.
In New York City just 24 years ago, and like this is where we are. Like we were the city of like Giuliani and even like Bloomberg, and it's like, what the heck has happened? I mean, we only have a few more weeks to go. I mean, go Sliwa, go Cuomo, go anybody that's not this guy promising all this free stuff, because that's what's putting his whole coalition together. The promise of free stuff makes Jews forget that like he's an extremist.
Yeah, okay.
I guess now it's more so like, you know,
it's kind of crazy. Like, the things that people feel comfortable saying about, like, Jewish people now because of the things that pro-Israel influencers say are just way more extreme. I mean, there's actually a really interesting topic, but I'm not sure how, like, YouTube safe it is. But the Nick Fuentes Ben Shapiro video is crazy. Like, Ben Shapiro and his fall-off has got to be studied. Like, you know, the guy went from having one of the biggest, having one of the biggest, went from having one of the biggest, sorry, I forgot what I was talking about. Yaqub is a Nation of Islam thing. I've got to admit, I like Yaqub. I like him. Is that actually? But yeah, like just the things that pro-Israel people feel comfortable saying because of this. Oh, I was talking about Ben Shapiro. He was making awesome cartoons. And now Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire have fallen off. And they have been beefing hard. He uploaded a really long video called No to the Groypers. No to cowards like Tucker Carlson who normalize this kind of stuff. No to those who champion them. No to demoralization. No to bigotry and anti-meritocratic horseshit. No to anti-Americanism. No. 24.8 million views. This is weird as well. These are all in increments of each other. 44,000, 11,000 bookmarks. 11,000 reposts and 22,000 comments. Why are they all in increments of each other? That's really weird. 24.8 million views. I'm noticing things are happening. But yeah, look at this. This is Ben Shapiro's old tweet. Ann Coulter tweets Jews awful, nonsensical. Is also super pro-Israel and has always been so I won't sleep. I miss your streams, by the way. Well, we're back now, and hopefully we can build things back up. I've noticed a bit of a steep fall off, but you know, we'll get it back. We'll get it back because it always comes back. It's easier to bring it back on fucking TikTok because like it's way more like people click on it and they see like debating and stuff. Oh, hey, Alex. Alex, I hope you're good. You're very rarely on these streams. Nice to see you on here. I wish I could rename you, but no problem. But yeah, what are we doing? I kind of want to do Dick Cheney dead first. Honestly, I'm so angry at the administration of Hungary. I don't know what they've been up to. I mean, the thing about Steven Crowder is, there was just like an open video of him abusing his wife. Like, there just was. Of like him just being really abusive to a pregnant wife, like crying about having to do chores.
Is not an SNL sketch. It is.
Oh, we've got to see this.
What you are about to see is not an SNL sketch. It is real life. It is.
How is this guy doing news commentary? This guy looks like a ghoul. This guy looks like a ghoul from Fallout. Very weird. He's so tight-lipped.
Rabbis for Zorhan. One is even trans.
Hi, Rabbi. Hi, Rabbi. Hi, Rabbi. Hi, Rabbi. Hi, Rabbi. Hi. We're among the thousands of Jewish New Yorkers who've been out door knocking and phone banking to elect Zohran Mamdani.
We know Zohran will fight to make our city affordable and safe for our families.
I love how these people are like portrayed as like crazed extremists who are like, you know, chickens for KFC. But then the people who are like posting 9/11 images and the most unimaginably racist shit about Muslims are somehow the people who are normal, like the people engaging in Hitlerian racism just against Muslims.
As Jews, as rabbis, as New Yorkers.
And what I'm saying is, like, listen to how reasonable her positions are versus what these people believe in. They believe like Zohran Mamdani is going to do Sharia law and kill everyone who's Jewish. And these people are like, they're going to make New York cheap for people. And it's like, that's a much more reasonable reason to vote for someone than Zohran Mamdani is going to do 9/11 because he's a Muslim.
We believe that all people deserve to thrive. Zohran agrees.
Nothing like these. I mean, it's like literally.
So busy, man. I'll try join more. Just whenever you can, if you can, you know. Thanks for the donation as well. Thanks for calling me the GOAT.
Really like a self-hating Jew. I mean, it really adds some spice to the election here. What is like funny is most of practicing Jewish people don't even recognize these people as legitimate rabbis because the book, that the Torah says that you can't be a female rabbi and you certainly can't be gay in the same religion. I don't even think they anticipated trans when they wrote that book, so probably can't be that either. Like, and if I'm one of those feminist rabbis, look, One of them looked awful familiar. Maybe this is why.
But today, we're here to find joy, to feel at home, to be free, to say loud and clear that you belong.
Right, that self-identified queer trans Israeli American rabbi, Abby Stein, being removed by Secret Service from Joe Biden's Pride Parade speech back in 2024 for interrupting and screaming about a permanent ceasefire in Gaza. She later wrote on,
once again, like, why are they making this lady seem so based? Like, well, I mean, obviously she just is, but like, it's just very obvious that this is a base person. Because, like, even if you're someone who's not, like, fully on the side of Israel, what is wrong with screaming for a permanent ceasefire? Like, saying that you wanted that?
your experience in a blog post.
Sorry, I better move myself. We spoke up for Palestine and got kicked out of the White House Pride Party. As a queer trans Israeli American rabbi whose closest openly queer family members live in Israel, I wanted to bring this message to the White House. We addressed Dr. Biden and our fellow attendees respectfully, introduced ourselves as queer Jews and chanted our support for a permanent ceasefire, an end to arming Israel, and asserted that there can be no pride in genocide. By the way, this doesn't even sound like someone who's that radically pro-Palestine. If they're like, oh, I've got like this family living in Israel who are openly queer, like it doesn't necessarily come across as like someone who's guaranteed to be like, you know, pro-Israel. Not that there aren't, pro-Palestine. Not that there aren't people with family or who live in Israel who are, you know, pro-Palestine. But yeah.
To bring this message to the White House, we addressed Dr. Biden, not a real doctor, and our fellow attendees respectively introduced ourselves as queer Jews and chanted our support for a permanent ceasefire, blah, blah, blah. This is why voting matters, folks. But look, more broadly, just look at NYC from the...
This guy looks so crazy. Like, what is... every time he appears, why is his skin so tight? Like, what is this?
Presidential election, 67% for Kamala, 30% for Trump. But that was because only 60% of the people, registered voters, voted in Manhattan. Like, I'm not saying everybody who stayed home would have gone for Trump, but theoretically, enough people stayed home that they could have swung the election in a different direction. Come out and vote, Republicans. Benj Irby, political analyst, and Kay Smythe, writer for KSmytheHill.com. Okay, Benj, you are ready to jump out of your chair.
Trans rabbi. So I guess they went a little far with the circumcision, or I'm not sure how that would exactly work. Like trans rabbi.
Do you know, there's actually a crazy story. Like, I know this is off topic, but have any of you ever heard of the story of John Money? John Money was this guy who he like got the opportunity to, this is the guy, I think it's him at least. There were these kids, David Raymer. Yeah, David Raymer lost his penis in a botched circumcision, and this guy Money advised him to be raised as a girl, and I think Raymer ended up killing himself, and then his brother killed himself, maybe. Yeah, he shot himself. And he had a twin, and it was this like guy did this all because he was like trying to apply his ideology, but it was like really dodgy, really dodgy. David Raymer was told the truth by his parents. He chose to begin calling himself David and underwent surgical. They tricked this kid, and he was told that it was a really good idea, rather than letting the kid know once like the kid was ready to understand what had happened to him. And it was from a botched circumcision. Absolutely crazy.
I didn't even think that like Jewish people believed in that sort of thing, and I guess now it's more so like, you know, chickens for KFC with this whole Mamdani thing, or like cows for
Mamdani. Hold on, I've just messed up my. No.
McDonald's here. Look, I mean, I don't know why any person who would be a Jewish person, who would be an American person, someone who lived through 9/11, which I did in New York City, being born and raised here, would be ready to vote for someone who has such ties.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, what is the joke?
To extremists, and there's nothing wrong with like actual American Muslims, especially you have like Nation of Islam, who are like Black American Muslims, people like that.
It's really amazing that is this guy just like a black supremacist? The only Muslims that are okay are black Muslims.
But this guy, Mamdani,
Black and...
there's so many
Why can't he say Mamdani? Why does he keep calling him Mamdani?
extreme people that he's been aligned with. And for this to have happened in New York City just 24 years ago, and like, this is where we are. Like, we were the city of like Giuliani and even like Bloomberg. And it's like, what the heck has happened? I mean, we only have a few more weeks to go. I mean, go Sliwa, go Cuomo, go anybody that's not this guy promising all this free stuff, because that's what's putting his whole coalition together. The promise of free stuff makes Jews forget that, like, he's an extremist.
Yeah, Kate, we talked about this.
It's also just, again, like, I know we heard that earlier, so there's less of a reaction. Just like, why would you say that? Like, you know, if you're Jewish making a joke like that, okay, like, funny. But, like, if you're just some black guy, like, speaking about Jewish people not behaving exactly how you expect because of your political views, and you're saying stuff like that, like, if I made a joke, like saying, oh, Jews go to Israel because they get free stuff, it's not really that funny, is it? Hydraulic press for Chris.
The other night, though, about how he said, oh, my aunt is so afraid to go in the subway after 9/11, she couldn't wear a hijab. And then we found out that she doesn't have an aunt here. She actually lives in, like, you know, somewhere else, like 5,000 miles away. And so he wanted to clarify that.
By the way, this is just also not an outrage thing. I called the guy earlier Unk. That guy's my Unk. East LA Bakery is my Unk. Unk status for East Bakery. But yeah, like, I mean, and like I have family members who are mixed, and they're they're like Asian, and they refer to all of their people that they are like, you know, like they've used the term cousin for people that they're not related to, who are like also Asian.
It wasn't his aunt. It was someone else who, like, you know.
He is so happy with this. This guy is like so happy. This is his moment. He's just been anti-Semitic, and he knows he'll get away with it.
No, anyway.
This is my face when I get away with anti-Semitism.
Roll this.
I was speaking about my aunt.
Is Nation of Islam actually anti-Semitic? I didn't know that. Thanks, Noxolotl, for the information. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
I was speaking about Zerafui, my father's cousin, who sadly passed away a few years ago. And for the takeaway from my more than 10-minute address about Islamophobia in this race and in this city to be the question of my aunt tells you everything about Andrew Cuomo and his inability to reckon with a crisis of his own.
Things that didn't happen for 500. And of course he invokes, oh, she passed away. I bet that was a convenient political truth for him.
Oh, yeah. He probably just like went down the line and tried to find like some random family member that could like just about fit the description so he could make up for the blatant lie that he told. Yeah, he has one aunt. She lives in Tanzania, which I think is also the location of one of the 3 like 100.
Sophie, thank you so much for the memberships. Also, by the way, the amount of memberships I have on here is crazy. Shout out you all.
$1,000 or whatever it was weddings that this guy threw for him and his wife, because he's not a man of the people. He lives in a rent-controlled apartment.
Wait, what did they say?
Or whatever it was weddings that this guy threw. Probably just like went down the line and tried to find like some random family member that could like just about fit the description so he could make up for the blatant lie that he told. Yeah, he has one aunt. She lives in Tanzania, which I think is also the location of one of the 3 like $100,000 or whatever it was weddings that this guy threw for him and his wife.
I mean, that concept is something that's somewhat like alien to me because I live in Britain and I am white, but I have like awareness because I have met people who aren't white who have told me, actually, I'm getting married in the UK and also India. I'm doing an Indian wedding. I'm doing a wedding in the UK. But like, I'm not just going to sit there and be like, oh my God, that is the weirdest thing ever. And also, by the way, Zoran Mamdani is going to be very well off anyway because of who his dad is. His dad is a successful academic. Like, you know, someone who sold a lot of books. Like his work, Citizen and Subject, I think was very prominent. But yeah, like crazy stuff.
Because he's not a
like people having multiple weddings when you're like raised in America. And is she British as well?
A man of the people. He lives in a rent-controlled apartment but has like more money than probably half of New York put together because he's a compulsive liar.
Okay, his dad may be an academic, but there is not the same amount of money as the whole amount of people in New York. And by the way, Andrew Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo does undeniably have links with Epstein. I was just checking it. It's someone who finances his campaign. I know Zoran's mentioned it himself. We can watch that here.
4 years.
It's just so funny. I would say that he's more of a man of the people than most definitely Andrew Cuomo.
Years ago, Andrew Cuomo resigned in disgrace, and you probably know why.
The governor's office kept the nursing home death data secret.
Cuomo aggressively groped an aide.
I'm not sure I can actually listen to this because it's got music on, but it's mentioned in that. But yeah, he talks about the other guy is someone who sexually assaulted people, I think that is far less man of the people, because what I will say about being a man of the people is if you're sexually assaulting the people, whoever the people are,
Guy,
you're probably not very man of the people-esque.
It's he's a compulsive liar, like most Democrats, who's going to do some kind of victim-y, sad, oh, I can't believe that's what you focused on out of a 10-minute address. Dude, you didn't say anything else interesting. And I'm sure if you had said something else interesting, it probably would have also been a lie or just another stupid idea, because that's what this guy is built for. Lies and stupid ideas, just like all Democrats.
This is
I like how it's just like all Democrats, when in many ways Mamdani has been disavowed by many establishment Democrats. Yeah, Cuomo's a proper from a proper line of people who are people who are politicians, right? Like mayors and such.
Democrats in general. And we're just now finding out, Benj, that Obama apparently wasn't super happy about Pelosi's last-minute, surprise endorsement of Kamala Harris. This is crazy. According to the new book in ABC, Jonathan Carl, Obama called Pelosi soon after the public endorsement. Carl wrote that this person summed up Obama's message to Pelosi as essentially, "What the F did you just do?"
You're literally talking about establishment Democrats lying, undeniably something true, and then you pull up an establishment Democrat distancing themselves from Zoran Mamdani, someone who's portrayed as one of the most radical Democrats.
Well, I will say this. I think the Zoran's aunt, I think her name is Corn Pop. I'm just, I think so. I'm just saying, just throwing it out there. Look, as far
hairy
as
legs,
right? As far as Obama is concerned, look, what the F he just did was not protect a black woman. And according to the woke rules, that's a cardinal woke rule. We must always protect black women, no matter what. He did not protect Kamala Harris, right? And I was going to say, because now in 2025, he is actually calling on robocalls for people to vote a white woman, Spamberger over Winsome Sears, a strong black woman. Obama.
Yeah. I love identity politics of just strong black woman that we should vote for because someone has endorsed her. But I was just, sorry, I'm a bit distracted because I've just seen this. Man of the people, Cuomo, skipped sexual harassment training that he himself mandated by having a staffer complete it for him, accuser says. Oh my God.
You're wrong for that, sir.
Yeah.
You can put him in woke jail.
Kay, last 15 seconds to you on this.
No, I think that, again, it's sort of hilarious. Say what you want about Obama, but he, every now and again, he does have good points. The fact that he shouldn't have won the Nobel Peace Prize all those years ago because he didn't do anything. And the fact that Kamala Harris never should have been given any position in politics ever because she's unqualified and also an idiot liar, just like the rest of them.
Yeah.
It's amazing as well, just by the way, if you're a right-wing idiot, the amount of opportunities you get to just... Oh my God!
I was like, "Oh, that's weird."
This woman just goes live on Twitter with no one watching, and does 2-hour discussions about just doing 2-hour discussions about UFO academics versus creators.
It happened in Great Britain.
I want to see more of her. I have got to see more of this woman. This counts as election coverage, right?
It happened in Great Britain. It happened in the UK. You had a bunch of people come in as immigrants, and then suddenly, I don't know, a decade later, maybe 2 decades later, you had a bunch of people who were either the offspring of or actual immigrants themselves as the mayors in some of the biggest cities in England and the surrounding areas. It looks like it's starting to happen here. Well, it's not just starting to happen here. By the way, it's Kay Smythe-Hill. Go to kaysmythe.com. See her on Newsmax all the time. She's amazing. News and commentary writer. Kay, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm good, Joe. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. I mean, we look like we're on the precipice of a guy from Uganda becoming a Muslim guy from Uganda who is a Democratic.
Saying a guy from Uganda is bad enough when he's very clearly someone who's Americanized. But was Zoran born? He's an American citizen, of course. He was born there, right? He must have been. He must have been born in America. No? No, he's born in Kampala, Uganda. But either way, he is someone who is a United States citizen, but then he has to add Muslim to make sure that you should fear him.
Socialist, which means he's a communist, who's probably going to be the mayor of the biggest city in this country. Not okay. Now, listen, I'd rather that they learn their lesson and maybe undo it for next time. I would also rather Andrew Cuomo drop out and maybe Curtis Lewa has a chance. But let's talk about what happened where you're from. I mean, if you look at the biggest cities in the country of England, just about all of them have a mayor who's a Muslim who is not from that area, a guy who has a very different outlook on life than Western civilization.
I really don't understand how, you can actually say this kind of stuff and that this is just believed rhetoric. Sadiq Khan was born in Tooting, which is in London, not from that area. He was born there. Boris Johnson was, is the child of Turkish, he's Turkish, right? His grandfather's Turkish. So, this idea that Sadiq Khan is less British and more responsible for the destruction of London than somehow fucking Boris Johnson is ridiculous, because most of the decline of London happened under him.
Civilization. How does that happen? Did it just slowly and gradually? I mean, why is that the case?
When I was growing up, we had a large Muslim population in my hometown. I'm from a little town in Wales.
Why don't you have any kind of Welsh accent? Where are you from?
But it didn't matter. All of our schools, we still did school prayer.
Right.
We would literally sit and sing the Lord's Prayer, Joe.
I mean, yes, which is an interesting conversation about, how predominantly secularish schools do make you sing about the God in England, but, and yes, Tooting is a silly name. It's a place in London.
We're supposed to have, full separation, actual separation of church and state in the UK. It just didn't happen because everyone was raised on sort of fundamentally Christian values.
Right.
So,
but also, once again, capitalism is far more responsible for the degradation of one of the Christian values that was even more alive in her life than it was in mine, which is the Sabbath, which is respecting Sunday, which we don't have anymore.
So the only way I think that this has happened, this sort of rapid growth in Islamic leadership, in political positions, is because most British people are completely detached from politics. They don't know when their local elections are.
They don't know how to be racist enough to Muslims. But it's okay, if you think most British people aren't switched on to politics, then what you're saying is that the people who are continually vote for Sadiq Khan.
Don't care, so long as they get their dole money, so long as they can go down to the pub on a Friday night and get their fish and chips. It's like that, the analogy of you put a frog in a boiling pot of water and it'll jump right out, but if you put the frog in, turn it on, and it'll gradually boil itself to death. That is
I keep hearing this analogy everywhere. Why?
White British mentality towards pretty much everything bad for them. Whereas even though, I have a lot of Islamic friends back in the UK, they all hate me because I'm pro-Trump, but I don't really care. I still love them because I'm a Christian.
Yes.
But they actually do community really well. And you need community.
L'lanfer pil gwyngi lagori chvordrob vlanti silio gogoch.
And also in order to be successful at politicking. And so I think that's probably why I think Muslims are just better at turning out the vote. I think that all the mums drag their 18-year-old kids down to the polls.
No, they don't. It's you are so disconnected from reality. 18-year-olds being dragged down to vote. What are you talking about? What are you actually talking about here?
All of the dads, beat it into their sons. You have to go and vote for this guy because he shares our values. Whereas in the UK, they don't even know who's running. they don't care. Like amongst like the white population, like the Christian population, like they don't care. We're kind of lucky in my hometown. We had a great, I'm not sure if he's still the mayor, obviously I haven't been there in like a long time, but he was fantastic. If there was a broken bus stop, he would be the guy down there on a Saturday in his overalls fixing the bus stop.
Muslims are notorious for not fixing bus stops. That is, if I got one criticism of the damn Islamic faith, it is how they refuse to deal with the damn bus stops. Like, what is this? It's like, I don't think Exeter was the best run city that I've ever lived in. Like, Exeter doesn't have glass bottle recycling, which is insane to me, by the way. But, like, Exeter, when there was a smashed bus stop, they'd fix it. I remember one time there was a completely demolished bus stop.
Right. So he kept getting reelected. But I wouldn't be surprised if he gets replaced at some point soon, because we still have this massive emerging Islamic population. It's not exactly slowing down with all the boats arriving. Yeah. I don't think we have secure elections.
Largely also, it's because generally what this also discounts is that like people born in the UK who are minorities are not going to want to vote for the Conservative Party, are they? They're going to vote more for Labour.
In the UK, because if they still run the way that they did when I lived there, it is
it is amazing that she was like, British people just love fish and chips. Who's Joe Pags as well? This is good content, though.
Joke. You can stuff those ballot boxes like they're going out of fashion. So I think it's partly just like normalized ignorance amongst people who look like me and you. But I think it's also coupled with just an incredible power of a community within Muslim populations. And yeah, that's all it takes to win elections.
Yeah, I know so few people who I went to school with who are practicing Christians. And that's just because, like, churches have decayed around us. Like, people feel less connection to the Christian faith. And that's not the fault of Islam. It's the fault of our state. Like, and also, like, multiple scandals involving the Christian church in the UK and the Catholic church in Ireland and across the world, really.
Let me say this, because I've been very clear about this every time Islam comes up. There are very peaceful Muslims. I'm not saying it as a disclaimer. And I'm not against somebody being a Muslim and being a mayor if he or she understands the Constitution is the supreme law here and not Sharia law, not something that the Quran says. If you can go in there and
Sadiq Khan has brought Sharia law to London. No one is allowed to go outside without a hijab. And mashallah, this Sadiq guy.
Acclimate to this community. But we got people in places like Dearborn, where the mayor of Dearborn...
USA is like the idiot quarantine of the world. Yeah, the brain drain on the UK, they're all just going to here. They're all just going here. I say every word of every letter of the word Christian. Christian.
Who's a Muslim is talking about, the call to prayer 5 times a day in open air in the United States of America. Doesn't make any sense. He's also yelling at other residents about, I can't wait for you to leave Dearborn because we will do a parade in the streets to get you out of Dearborn, because the guy was concerned about the overflow of immigrants into town. You got a guy in Minneapolis who probably will be the next mayor who's like...
So they're concerned about someone who holds racist and bigoted views?
From Somalia. And when you see him out there waving the Somalian flag as he's running for mayor of a great United States city, I've got a problem with that. So this guy, Mamdani in New York, he is clearly just being a chameleon. He's saying anything anybody wants to hear to try to get himself elected. But the reality is, he's somebody who appears to be pro-Hamas. He wouldn't say they should even disarm or quit. He's a guy who is pretending he's for LGBTQ XYZ 1, 2, 3. He's not. He's a staunch Muslim, and that doesn't align with their beliefs. And
it's very obvious that, like, Mamdani is, like, pro-women, pro-gay rights and all of these things. The idea that he's not is just amazing.
He's also a guy that will say, I'll give you free food.
These people are just jealous because they're not actually Christians. Neither of these people care about the Christian faith. They don't really care about, like, engaging with it. And really, the most important and radical message of Jesus Christ is love for all. And any Christian that I've actually met, people who haven't just adopted the Christian faith as this kind of, like, cosplay to do on social media and spread hate, are people who hold radical love for others. They're people who care about what the Bible says. Like, Jesus' message is literally, love thy neighbor. At its most basic, that is what the Christian faith wants of you. And these people are just like, no, we should be hateful, and immigrants are ruining everything, and blah, blah, fucking blah. And it's like, if you take an examination, if you want to be truly Christian, you have to be looking at, like, anti-capitalism. I believe there's some, like, radical church of Christianity that's related to, Slavoj Žižek holds some kind of influence. Christian.
I'll give you a free house.
Thanks for the membership. 4 fucking months. Wow.
I'll give you free busing, free transportation. Just vote for me. And then once you get in, and he's got a long track record of being this democratic socialist, this communist guy who has a Muslim upbringing in Uganda. Once he gets in, he probably will do what you're talking about. It won't just be the guy who's filling the potholes and trying to do what's good for the.
He's gonna fill them Islamically. Fish and chips on me. I live in a heavily Muslim populated city in the States. No one forces/pressures us to vote for anyone. Many people here actually voted for Trump at one point. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. Like, Muslims are very much, like, Muslims have and can be very, well, especially, like, religiously. If you're talking about someone who's anti-LGBT, who's, like, conservative, who's all these things, then most likely they would probably vote for the Republicans, because there are Muslims who are social conservatives. Baroness Vorsi is a great example in the UK. This woman acts like, oh, Muslims are taking over and they're all, like, woke. Saida Vorsi in the UK is literally like a famous conservative peer. I think she's a peer now, but anyway, she's a very famous conservative lady, and she is someone who is, like, you know, socially conservative. She doesn't share views. Largely what unites her with, like, other Muslim voters is just, like, not wanting genocide of Palestinians. Would you like to recognize the DXRs? They're already recognized. They're far too recognized. But thanks for the membership, Charlie. And thank you for the $10, Coffee Lover. Thank you for everyone who's supporting.
Community, he's going to be a guy that is going to be.
I spoke with the DXRs. I have friends who are DXRs. They're good people. They hate me for voting for Zoran Mamdani. But they're good people. We're friends. All of the DXRs, they moved into my Discord server and they took it over. And they're forcing us to all vote for DXR as the new stream host.
Be there and think my religion first, or my way of life first, or we have to change this big city and get away from capitalism first. And that's a really bad thing for this country.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the end of New York City, or at least a temporary end to the city. Like, this is a city that's already been, like, close to run into the ground thanks to Eric Adams and his, you know, he's just, look, Eric Adams, to me, the first time I ever heard him speak before he even won his election, I was like, this guy doesn't care about politics. He cares about being famous. He cares about hanging out with other famous people. Like, he's not a politician. He's just not good enough to get famous anywhere else. And, like, a lot of people like Eric Adams. Great for you. I don't like the fact that I used to be able to go to New York City before he got into power and feel safe when I go on the subway and walk down the streets. And I can't now. You think that's going to get any better under Mamdani, who, like you said, is a...
Why can no one say his name? Why are they calling him Mamdani?
Massively, compulsively lying hypocrite who, even SNL, they did an opening monologue skit this weekend, I think it was, where they said, like, I can't remember the name of the guy who was doing the bit being Mamdani, but it was like, I'm going to promise all of this amazing stuff. Can I deliver on it? No, but I'm going to smile after I say everything, so you think that I can. Or, like, words to that effect. And, like, that's who this guy is. He's creepy, and he's classically aligned with pretty much every major wannabe famous Democrat out there who, in my opinion...
You are aligned with Trump. You are like a wannabe famous conspiracy theorist, talentless fucking hack.
Is the definition of an abusive relationship. Because they're going to lie to you, they're going to hurt you, and then they're going to blame you for the problems that they have allowed to happen to you. Like, this is a person who wants to be in power probably for no real other reason other than the fact he's not qualified to do an actual job.
Right.
I thought Mamdani wanted to bring in Sharia law, not be famous.
Like, what is he qualified to do? He, like you said, he comes from an incredibly wealthy family, but he lives in, like, rent-controlled housing.
Right.
He claims to be a democratic socialist. The man had 3 weddings on 3 different continents, I'm pretty sure. If it's not 3 different continents, he still had 3 different weddings. He makes up family members to sell some sob story and to like promote this victim complex. And then when he gets called out, he's just like, okay, well, no, like it still happened. It was just like a turn of phrase. It's just like, humble yourself, admit that you can't do any of the stuff that you're promising to do. Don't run on a lie, because in the long term, Joe, here's what's going to happen. In the long term,
you support Trump. Like, Trump's entire premise is a lie, that he'll better the lives of average Americans, and he's categorically not doing that. Your entire career is based on spreading pro-Trump lies. It's kind of like the guy who I spoke to yesterday, where it's just like, oh, anything that isn't just this current system is just utopian. It's just like, what is this? And yeah, r/Israel Palestine is an insane Reddit.
You think New York is bad for Muslims now? And I'm talking in the wake of 9/11 right now.
Right.
We've had 24 years since that horrific terror attack. And now we're going to see a Muslim get elected who is going to drive that place into the ground. Do you think Muslims are going to get elected like anywhere else other than by stupid people who believe that socialism is a real thing when it's not? It's communism. By the way, they call themselves democratic socialists because they legally can't run for office as communists.
Is that true? Can't the American Communist Party run? Is that true? The American Communist Party is an official party, no? Queer Arab Dearborn Res. Arab Americans do need to address bigotry, but so do white American Christians. 100%. There are many. This is the funny thing. People act as if you don't think Palestinians should be genocided, that you are like bending over backwards for like people who hold really conservative Islamic views. We don't actually share that much in common if that's the kind of belief that you hold. But largely, there has been this coalition formed around the basis of, hey, actually, most progressives feel very strongly about Palestine because they're decent human beings. And I think especially of young people, they've realized that. I think they've realized that and they see it.
So that's just like a turn of phrase, like
and democratic socialism doesn't literally mean anything.
It literally doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. Right.
It literally just means...
It means that you believe in socialism that's democratic. Like, it's pretty obvious what it means. It means you believe in democracy, but also socialism. Like, yeah.
You say to like, well, I like it because the word democratic is in there too. It is Cahill. Go to K Smythe Hill. Go follow her everywhere on all the social media. See her on Newsmax as well. Bottom line for me is when we started seeing the guy in Scotland who was Pakistani or something, and who was some leader of something. He might have been the leader of everything. I don't know. But he was in their parliament or in their Congress, whatever the hell they call it in Scotland, and going on and on and on, complaining about how people in jobs in government were white. The labor leader, white. The garbage man.
Do you know the funniest one that they don't bring up? There is like some German-Turkish politician who was like, we're going to conquer them. But Lemon Mint Cat also, thank you. I forgot to say thank you for your donation. But yes, and you're right. It's like bigotry is just something that there are people who will always use religion to justify barbarous and horrifying things. And unfortunately, like someone mentioned about Palestine, literally, this is a point made brilliantly in Carbon Democracy by Timothy Mitchell. If you look at the Middle Eastern regimes that were under the tutelage of America, is that how you say it? Tutelage? Anyway, that grew up under this, like the Jordanian regime, the legitimacy of the Hashemite kingdom in Jordan is premised on the idea that they are, descendants of the Prophet Muhammad. That's how it works. Like that's what their legitimacy is. Saudi Arabia, all of these. The Palestine National Liberation Movement was largely, well, it was predominantly secular. That's really one of the major splits of it with Hamas. Like Hamas represents Islamic politics in Palestine.
White, the dog catcher, white. And he's like really mad that more people weren't brown or Muslim or something in freaking Scotland. Where like if somebody in Scotland walks outside, their face turns bright red. These are the whitest people on the planet Earth, and this guy was mad that there weren't more brown people. It wasn't okay that he was already in a power position and he was somebody who did not look like the rest of the Scottish people. No, he wanted everybody in government to represent everybody who looks like him. And that, Kay, is what I see happening in New York, in Minneapolis, in Dearborn. And is it really voter apathy, or as you say, voter ignorance? Is that really what's going on?
The funny thing is that none of the people who they're describing actually believe this, but they do believe that only white faces should be in power. Like, they're literally advocating for that.
I think it's more actually just like the galvanization of those communities. Like, it's classic kind of, it's actually completely out of the Stalin playbook. You flood a community or you flood a country with people who aren't from there, and it creates complete cultural and political chaos. And then you can install whoever you actually want in power within that chaos by just leveraging that slight majority of the vote. Dearborn terrifies me. Like, if that is allowed to come to fruition, I don't know where that goes. And I've spent time in Muslim countries and I've woken up to the call to prayer. It's not as harsh and in your face as I think a lot of people think it is. It's actually like kind of weirdly peaceful in some ways. I know
she's an advocate for the call to prayer.
Sounds really strange, but like, I spent too much time in Morocco around it. You do literally...
Right.
I spent too much time in Morocco around it. Also, sorry, I actually missed her comment about Stalin.
Tune it out. I also grew up a place where every 15 minutes we had church bells, which is great and nice, but after a while, like, especially when they're right outside your front door, like, it's exhausting. Any kind of loud noise like that is a nightmare. But I'm sorry, this country was founded on Christian values.
Yes.
The church bells belong. Like,
but you also highlighted the separation between church and state. I thought our politics was separate from the church, and thus, and also, by the way, the UK, in terms of our politics, has been a country that has long allegedly prided itself in that. And unlike many other countries in Europe, we don't have a major Christian party.
Like, the call to prayer doesn't belong. Like, just because you've got like a portion of the population that follow that, if you're going to push that somewhere like Dearborn, you have to bring in the church bells too. You don't get to have one or the...
Well, bring in the fucking church bells. I'm sure most people wouldn't care, but you start going to church. You start listening to what they actually tell you about love and support for other human beings.
Well, I think you do. I'm going to argue with you.
I was going to say, you get the church
one over the other. Yeah, the church bells you get in a Judeo-Christian society. You don't have the call to prayer because that's literally...
Judeo-Christian society is just the most pathetic and stupid thing that you've ever heard.
Pushing one ideology, one religion... And that does violate, if there is a separation of church and state, that violates all of those things that we thought that we held dear. At the end of the day, if you're a Muslim, you got to pray 5 times a day. I'm with you. God bless you. Go do it. You should be able to remember when you're supposed to pray. This is not about reminding people to pray. This is about saying this is our city, and we own it now. And it's the same.
Isn't the very point of reminding people that they are to pray?
Thing, because you don't have to have 10,000 Muslims stop the London Bridge and pray. You don't have to have people stop the aisle on the plane and get on their hands and knees and pray. I mean, by the religion, you could actually make the prayer up later. And it doesn't say you have to join forces massively and shut down a roadway and get on your hands and knees and pray to Mecca. That's just not true. They're doing it to show power and to show strength. And I think that what you said earlier really does resonate with me, that people are either ignorant or there's something else going on. I think they're afraid to be called Islamophobic, and that's just dumb. It just is.
Okay, this is enough of Joe Pegs and Idiot Lady. We've got some other bangers. There's an incredible TikTok. Hold on, I just need to save it. I've been sent it. I've been meaning to play this the whole time. I'd forgotten about it. So thank you, Tony Soprano Lover, for reminding me that I needed to watch this.
We also found that there are reasonable grounds to believe that
Your boy was just on 60 Minutes, Cuomo, saying that you're his guy.
Wait. I'll start this again.
Your boy was...
I agree. Bigotry is a problem in the Arab American community when it comes to LGBTQ related matters, but they usually keep it to themselves. Indeed, I would say that also just older conservatives and people who hold conservative values are just very much like that. There are also tons of churches in Dearborn. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Weren't the vast majority of the first immigrants that were from the Middle East to go over to America were Christian? I mean, even being in Canada, one of the things you actually notice about Canada, there's a huge amount of Middle Eastern countries that we generally don't have much of in the UK. Like, there are Lebanese people living in the UK, but yeah. But yeah, Tommy Robinson and the like really pushed the term Judeo-Christian in their first iteration of the EDL, pure anti-Muslim dog whistle. Yes, because what the EDL is based on is culture. Like, they try and shy away from the like previous racism of fascistic movements in the UK, but when it comes to like culture, they're just like, well, saying anything against culture is fine. Also, I don't know if I said thank you for the donation, Coffee Lover. Thanks for the support as always.
Just on 60 Minutes, Cuomo, saying that you're his guy.
No. First of
Trump said you're his candidate. If he had to pick a bad Democrat or what did he say? Or a
communist.
Or a communist, he's picking you.
Hello?
I think he had to rap.
You just get, oh. I really wanted to hear that answer. That's what I was going to ask you.
Ebro just got spicy.
Oh.
I heard a click before the boop.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, well. Your boy was just on 60 Minutes, Cuomo.
I love that. Your boy was just on 60 Minutes, Cuomo. I love that accent. I mean, they have a point. They got a point. He ran. Yeah, just like leaving. Just leaving. Like, just because someone asked you about your clear connections to Donald fucking Trump. And the fact that Trump is out here endorsing you. I just want to...
Zoran Mamdani, thank you very much. Obviously, we're hours away.
Yes.
Hours away here. Are you ready? Do you expect it's going to be a big night for you?
Also, I think at some point I need to work on having the screen to be like this size so I can have the chat more... Can I stretch the chat so I can have the... Oh. So I can have the chat differently and then have like stuff on the bottom. And then I'm not like blocking it, but I'll have to work that out with one of you because I've improved my entire setup. Like, I do want to know, I know I've heard some of you say it, but what do you think of the new microphone? Because I think it sounds cold.
I'm hopeful. I'm confident, but I'll never be complacent. But look, if people want to vote for Donald Trump and Elon Musk, they should vote for Andrew Cuomo. If people want to vote for change, they should vote for me.
All right, Zoran.
It's kind of incredible how basic his messaging is. We can, you know what? Someone asked for the video
Cuomo,
on again.
saying that you're his guy. Your boy was just on 60 Minutes, Cuomo, saying that you're his guy.
No.
Trump said...
I like how his response was just no. It's like kind of, I don't know if any of you saw the debate earlier when I showed that guy like the images of Israelis using human shields and he was just like, no.
You're his candidate. If he had to pick a bad Democrat or what did he say? Or a
communist.
Or a communist, he's picking you.
Hello?
Sophie, yeah, sure. If you're happy to, we'll talk about that. I mean, crazy. Just like him just like leaving. Him also not leaving instantaneously. Well, I don't know why one of them was like, he's had to run. He didn't have to run. He was clearly had someone in the background whilst he was like, I don't know, because his microphone wasn't even muted, but someone in the background was just like, get off.
I think that they cut him off. I think he had to rap.
Ah, wait, he says, I think they cut him off. Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, I know. It is a torpedo to Cuomo. I think Cuomo... I'm pretty confident that what's his name is going to... That Mamdani, Zoman Mamdani. Chris, we all... Sorry, I'm just seeing a message from when I started streaming. Someone said I needed to go pee, and I still haven't gone and peed, but I'm okay, I'm surviving. There are many nativity scenes during Christmas outside the churches in Dearborn. Muslims and Christians are not divided here, despite what people say. Of course, because none of these people care about Christians and Muslims.
You just get... Oh. I really wanted to hear that answer. That's what I was going to ask you.
Ebro just got spicy.
Oh.
I heard a click before the boop.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, well. Your boy was just on 60 Minutes, Cuomo.
Oh, that is like a brilliant soundbite. Your boy was just on 60 Minutes, Cuomo. And thank you for the donation, Coffee Lover. Thank you for all of the donations today. Oh.
Boy was just on 60 Minutes, Cuomo.
It's accidentally just played again. Culturally Christian, it's end mass challenge. Culturally Christian.
We heard.
Culturally Christian. Cultural Christian challenge not to be a racist piece of shit. Well, actually, it's much more of a social media It's so funny as well because he's like, no, look, Trump is so opposed to Mamdani. He's not going to be able to stand up against him. And it's like, why is Trump going to do that only to Mamdani? Why is Trump only doing that to Mamdani? And then Trump just endorses Cuomo.
We knew in the primary that Andrew Cuomo was being funded by the same billionaire donors that gave us Donald Trump's second term. I did not, however, anticipate Andrew Cuomo going from being Donald Trump's puppet to being so nakedly his parrot. What he has said in these last few days, these are words that should shock the conscience of New Yorkers. He has said that diversity is a weakness, while forgetting which black host of the TV show he was on he was actually speaking to. He has laughed and agreed when a radio show host said that I would cheer on another 9/11. He has stood alongside the current mayor of the city as that mayor said that he was endorsing Andrew Cuomo to stop a movement that was burning churches in Nigeria, to stop New York City from becoming Europe.
I think, however you feel about Zoran and the Democratic Party, I think that what is so obvious is that, like, this is just an unequivocal stand against, like, a clearly moving racist tide in America, in the UK, that there are loads of people who are like, Islamists are going to win everywhere. And Mamdani will win. And what matters is whether he actually makes change and whether Mamdani is able to do meaningful things. He will probably be assaulted by Trump and many people. I mean, Trump has already shown a willingness to do this. But the thing is take the fucking stand. And if he takes that stand, I think it matters in the sense of, so far, we have seen the establishment, universities just capitulate to Trump. Take that fucking stand, and I think it's interesting. Sure, he disappointed me on the Intifada. I can see saying, oh, well, it's a messaging thing, but I also think that there are some times where you stay principled. But I still, and also, by the way, the young turnout for this is crazy. I mean, maybe we'll talk about some more practical stuff. This is the funny thing. I didn't study politics at school or university, and if you studied it at A-level, they teach you about, like, the American electoral system. I've never studied it. I need to and stuff, but, you know, there are many things. I'd be reading. I've still not finished this. I'm only just over like halfway through because I was faffing around. Well, actually, I'm more than halfway through. This book, The Deluge, so good. I'm going to keep shouting out. Amazing. Tooze is one of the best writers.
And as Deputy Majority Leader Mike Gianari said, for Andrew Cuomo's closing message to be a call for Republicans to support him, it shows what we have long known, but what he was able to hide while he was in Albany, which is that Andrew Cuomo is interested more in his own power than in living up to the ideals that make so many New Yorkers proud to be Democrats.
All right, we're going to go Michael Ray.
It is kind of amazing that there are people who just, want him to win. The people yearn for material changes for the working class. Yeah. Can you write the title in chat? What do you mean write the title? The Deluge. Deluge. It's also probably in German. Der Rider, if you can only read German, DXR, because I know you can speak English, but I don't know what your ability to read it is like. But he probably wrote it in German as well, because Tooze is he is someone who's he speaks German fluently. It speaks German a bit weirdly though, I think. Can you show the book again, please? It's called The Deluge, the remaking of the world order. Please read it. Please read it. Like, honestly, I think it's amazing. The American electoral system is confusing as fuck. I'll tell you what I think about the American electoral system. Stop electing fucking Hitler 3.0, 2.0, 54.0, and then I'll start listening to your damn voting system and how it works. And it's crazy, Sophie, that you got to meet Andrew Cuomo, that you worked with Andrew Cuomo.
To correct the record, if you didn't mean to say, give you a chance to correct.
Is our strength.
He's just appealing to very racist people because that's his base. And also, Quakers deserve so much respect. Indeed, they do. And also for like people saying, yeah, there are progressive people who are like who are religious, and I don't think we should review. And I think there's a tendency amongst people who are leftists and people who are like atheists to just view religion as bad. But I'm not sure that that's actually the best way to look at it. Rick Boothby apparently has some great work on this. He's a philosopher, embracing the void, rethinking the origin of the sacred. He also has a book about his son taking his own life, which is sad. But yeah, he was a remote guest. Ugh. Which one were you on? The one where he says this? Also, I'm sorry, I keep accidentally clicking on this. I'll look at the Trump thing in a second. There is currently the craziest story emerging in the UK that I will not let the video of play because it's really, really graphic. This kid here, at 17 and 18 years old, sexually abused, including raping children at a nursery in the UK. This hasn't been a big story at all. It is so disgusting. And by the way, the photo you're looking at there is after he's been at a church, he's been on trial. The reason he's not in prison is because it's had to be moved to the Crown Court because he's going to go to prison for 18 years, potentially. It's insane. It is insane. Like, I'm sorry, that is like, I know it's off topic, but it's a story that really shocked me. Like, he worked in a nursery. The story's horrible. It has the parent, with voice changer talking about what happened, and they were like, oh, my child was going to bed, and he said something that you just can't imagine, like, no parent would ever want to hear, and it's just like, oh, Christ almighty. And it's just like, yeah, it's because he's not brown. That is exactly why, and I also, by the way, I was working on a couple of videos. I think I'm going to make one called, like, From Jimmy Savile to the Grooming Gangs. Because if you actually look into what happened with the grooming gangs, and I tried to look if there's much writing about this. I couldn't find it, but I'm sure that there's more you can find. Jimmy Savile, people act as if, oh, it's just because people covered it up. And yeah, a lot of people covered up what Savile did. But also, if you don't know Jimmy Savile, the most famous pedophile in British history, such a significant figure, right? Unbelievable if you bother to, like, listen and learn who he is. Anyway, Savile got away with it in part because he was a very clever predator, which all of the people who are most successful are. Savile seemingly was also just an intelligent individual in terms of his ability to manipulate people. But what Savile did was he would target women and girls who were on the margins of society. The same thing that fucking Fred West did. The same thing that these damn grooming gangs did. And most people don't care about that story because arguably, that story does not provide instantaneous gratification, and it requires a harder look at society and our problems than it does going, the BBC, Jimmy Savile, the BBC, this, and the BBC that. And that's why these grooming gang narratives are so appealing, and addressing them is not just as simple as going, well, white person do it too, but because that's not it. It has to be addressing what it all is. It has to be addressing where this comes from. Like, also, like, how he got away with it was just, like, young women not being trusted. Young women. Yes. One of Savile's favourite places to prey on young women was Duncroft School for, like, girls who were at the fringes of society, who sometimes had committed violent crimes, who sometimes were just a bit troubled. But he loved going there because what could you find? Young women who, if they came out and spoke against you, you'd say, I'm fucking Jimmy Savile. Savile is different only because of his sort of reach and scale of power, but most men hold that power over young women, and the capacity of men to abuse that power over young women always exists. And I don't think we should boil it down to just exclusively power relations, because sometimes, like, on occasion, like, that can't really, like, power definitely plays into it, but there are also some kinds of sexual violence that, you know, are done by, like, positions where people don't have the power over another person and they're more about seizing power and stuff. So I think that it's not quite that simple, but yeah. And then Axel, what are you saying? I swear Americans will just never learn from Europeans. At least try the first time to do entryism on behalf of the popular party and fail, and then proceed to just create your own party. But Americans just keep doing the same thing over and over again. Yeah, and I think that part worries me about Zoran Mamdani. It's just like, I hope that Zoran wins, but I'm not also going to think that like Zoran will change the world. I hope, as I said, I hope he materially does, but he has a big challenge ahead of him. But yeah, also, by the way, Cuomo makes Zoran sound better and inflates like my kind of support of Zoran because of like what the rhetoric that they have relies on. But it's not going to act as a pushback. They're just going to blame him for all of the problems. So I guess there's merit to it. But yes, the royal family and Savile, it maybe he was King Charles's speechwriter, and it's more the legitimacy. He was knighted under very strange circumstances. Jimmy Savile got knighted when he had, like they'd said, don't knight him, and he wrote Charles's speeches. But yeah, the only thing, you're right, Savile was a children's entertainer, but Savile was like a superstar. Savile was this guy who was everywhere, everything during the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Anyway, let's listen to more Zoran.
Assemblyman, any response to President Trump saying he's better looking than you?
Zoran, what's the statement? My focus is on the cost of living crisis, bro.
I knew what he was going to say, but I'd somehow forgotten a little bit. Zoran, any comment on Trump saying he's better looking than you?
Here.
Okay.
And he...
But I hope that also, and I think Zach Polanski talked about this with Hassan, I don't think that Zach Polanski is necessarily like an entryist. I think that Zach Polanski genuinely does want radical change in British society, and he has managed to capture the Green Party through an election. I say capture, but like he's taken over the Green Party and he's pushing it in a direction that is radical, you know, and I think that that's interesting. And I think especially when your party has a terrible name, first of all. I do have an interest in your party, but unfortunately it's not, but yeah.
Here.
I don't know what this is. I want to see him talk here.
Okay.
And he's been a little bit more of, I think he would call himself a centrist.
Okay.
He said Zoran Mamdani is more on message than any candidate he's ever worked with. And he said, hands down, that's a positive trait.
Very kind of him.
So here's the test.
Oh, God.
How quickly can you go from this topic back to affordability?
Okay.
Halloween.
Here's the thing. You're seeing candy prices shoot up across New York City, and it's part of the fact that we're the most expensive city in the United States of America. We got to take a look at that.
The movie Godfather.
You know, there are too many people who think that the only way they could afford to live in New York City is if their father already lived here. And the fact of the matter is you should be able to afford your own apartment and not just have to pray to God to get there.
Incredible.
Right?
You got there.
Okay, this is not as interesting as I thought. Like, Owen Jones saying he's an incredible political commentator. Like, okay, yeah, it's like a sort of funny haha thing. Okay, great. Graham Plattner is a piece of shit, though. Graham Plattner is really someone who I feel like, what the fuck? How does that happen? I mean, I actually saw this because for some reason I have a second Twitter account now, which is I don't use, and I'm not going to tell you the name of because I can tell you it was called like, I really used to enjoy comments about Andrew Tate. Like, I found them really funny, and there were loads of people who like made these insane videos of like Tate like being in hospital and stuff because he got arrested. And so I used to, and so I was like collecting them for a little while, but I kind of stopped after like one post. But yeah, I get recommended, and I got recommended Loner Box. I don't really know why. I think it's because I get recommended like fucking that Yeet account, and then I click it, and then it goes to Destiny. But it is funny looking at Loner Box because I do think that once upon a time Loner Box was someone who had like decent politics and then just kind of like chose to be a cretin on Israel, which is just really interesting. I don't know why he did that, to be honest. Well, money or something, or just kind of trying to build an audience around that. But anyway, just look at this. I mean, this is just a place where I knew I could get it instantaneously. But yes, I'm not doing anything to like apologia for Lonerbox. I'm just saying it's like bizarre because like his views on like, you know, UK politics are not that unhinged. Like they're just not. Like his views on UK politics are just like straight up fine. And like I don't think he's someone who's like as deranged. And I mean, I think for me, Destiny is so irredeemable that I'd just never be able to ever say something like that because for all of the things that Lonerbox has said and done, like, of course, being a Zionist propagandist is terrible, but, like, when it comes to Destiny is just a sex criminal. Like, I think that's just, like, the nail in the coffin for me. But yeah, anyway, wanted to have an adventure and kill some people. Joined up in 04, Fallujah and Ramdi, and managed both. Hell of an experience. Oh boy, yeah, that guy isn't going to get charged, and he is certainly not going to get convicted. Like it or not, he is walking, he's walking away and was pursued, struck with a skateboard, and then tackled before discharging the weapon. While he may have set the whole situation in motion, the video fits almost all requirements for defensive gun use. These assholes wake up in the morning hoping today is the day they get to put down an Antifa looter. That's not that crazy a post. Like, I think that's actually, like, from Graham Plattner. Like, yeah, I think that the other thing with Plattner that is inexcusable is not this Reddit account. I think it is actually just much more that he did the tours of Fallujah, and as we've spoken about, it's not like he's actually, it's not actually, that was not acceptable. Azov is looking pretty locked in these days. Good weapons handling, disciplined fire, seemingly excellent use of IDF assets. Jesus Christ. Hope they put a hurting to the Russians. It's an Israeli tank genius. I'm happily an American. I'm a fervent opponent of occupation. However, I once fought in a miserable urban hellhole, and therefore I'm not nearly as quick to judge split-second actions. Yeah, I mean, this guy's just a fucking war criminal. Like, I'm sorry, like, saying that you're just not that quick to judge split-second decisions. The thing about Israel is there are no split-second decisions, because split-second decisions, if they were to exist in Israel, why they don't exist in Israel is because you know that you're never going to get prosecuted for anything you do. You could, like, look at the longest prison time that any Israeli has ever served. And also America, you know that you're probably going to get away with, like, unless you commit a war crime that is so unimaginably large that it ends up being something like My Lai. People did My Lies all the time in Vietnam. They just weren't as large. And yeah, I find war nerds a very weird thing. I find OSINT really perverse and all this stuff. I think that OSINT was really cemented in its perversity to me by the account that posted, I've been analysing bases in Yemen, and they just got it wrong. And the US struck it, and it was just like a mine. Like, it had nothing to do with being a base. And this account had claimed this is a Houthi base. Wait, I fucked up the dimensions of this. Device default. Okay, I've got the device default back. I need a new webcam as well. Have you seen the footage of the Israeli judge leaked? Yeah, I saw it a year ago. They added up to 5 million dead Vietnamese. Exactly. Opportunists like Hassan Piker. I don't feel bad for Hassan. Like, Hassan is someone who's done very well, and I think that someone, like, look, if you want to criticize people for the things they do, I think you could criticize me. I think that you could criticize me, and I was thinking about this, and I think it's a problem. The form of TikTok being used, and I didn't create this problem, but the form of TikTok being used as a medium to talk about politics and to, like, debunk things. It's not really that great because, like, sure, you can get the message out sometimes, but a lot of the time you just shout into the void and nothing comes out of it. And yet, and other times people feel as if they watch the video and that's basically it, you know? That they just watch the video and that's it. And maybe there's stuff to criticize on that kind of stuff as well, you know? Arsenal are winning against Slavia Praga, but they're only winning 1-0. Jesus Christ, Arsenal. Hassan is too rich for my care. I'm gonna be frank. Like, if Hassan was like a billionaire or had like hundreds of millions, then I'd be like, no. I'd be like, yeah, but I don't think he's hundreds of millions kind of. Sorry, can you guys hear my nose? My nose has been crazy the last few days. The point of plates is to protect you from rifle fire in active gunfight. If you're a fat fuck in active gunfight, you've got a lot more problems than just protecting your vitals. I'd rather have a few fit dudes with rifles than an army of tubby fat fucks in armor. What are you talking about? The only love I'll be spread is telling worthless fat... Oh my god, he's just talking about fat people. Like people who are overweight. Like, great. The video never gets old. The dumb motherfucker didn't deserve to live. At least his stupidity and fat-ass wheezing are available for all future infantrymen to witness and hold in contempt. Poor marksmanship on the Taliban's part is the only reason this mouth breather made it home. He managed to make every single possible shit decision possible when it comes to a small combat unit. In Ramadi, I watched this big... Is this just all this guy talks about? Just overweight people? Yeet is an alleged stalker and white supremacist. Yes, I have no doubt that Yeet guy... I didn't know about being an alleged stalker, but being someone who is like a white supremacist, that doesn't surprise me. I've got a banger tweet to show you after this as well that I don't think any of you will get. Capitalism is so exploitative that even the concept of presenting yourself online as an anti-capitalist serves immensely to improve your profit margins. Yes, I think that is part of the issue of capital. That's a great statement. I don't care how rich a socialist is. It's supporting the Democratic Party and misleading the masses about socialism that is the problem. I mean, yes, that's okay if you feel that way about Hassan. Fair enough. You're entitled to hold your opinions about Hassan. I'm not Hassan's like #1 defender. I can smell this person through the screen. Are you talking about me that you can smell through the screen, or? Oh wait. We'll just finish up with this last Zoran Mamdani stuff. So this is a brilliant tweet. Sadly, Anders Behring Breivik was unable to go to New York and deliver this message himself. Anders Behring Breivik is, of course, a mass murderer from Norway. Yeah, but he, I believe, allegedly, or I believe, I'm not 100% saying this. Hold on, I'll tell you. So Anders Behring Breivik did mention her, and she was like, there are only... she's talking about how it was mentioned twice and how that's like okay. Sorry, that's probably making annoying noises. But this woman has some amazing things to say. But she claimed that she was smeared, but it's just like saying, hey, maybe your politics are kind of like similar to it. Big day south of here. Yes. I didn't... It's kind of crazy how close you are to New York, especially in Montreal. I loved Montreal, by the way. An actual atrocious person. He killed so many children. Yeah. The war nerd, it's not just a war nerd. That's Graham Plattner.
I do fear that if this man wins, the next time I return to this great city, it will be transformed, rather like my home birth city of London, which, under the pressures of relentless Islamization and attitudes which demonize Israel and have made living in Britain a nightmare for the Jews of Britain.
Oh, right. So it's a nightmare because you're saying that all Jewish people support Israel. It's just like, oh, come on. Like, how is this person treated with any seriousness? It is a joke. It is a joke. And you're right. What is this woman doing in I was going to say Canada. What's she doing in New York City? Gone to spread and sow her poisonous rhetoric. Which, by the way, however you feel about Behring Breivik and whether your work influenced him, which probably was not the thing that pushed him over, you still exist with the same ideology that he does. And to this very day, you have not taken any look in it yourself. You have not felt anything about what you say and do. But yeah.
I very much fear that if you vote for Mamdani, then you're going to go down exactly the same terrible path. I do hope that you choose the path instead of common sense, sanity, and decency, and save New York from this awful fate.
It's so funny as well, because, like, if Hitler spoke about Muslims in the way he did today, this woman would support him. Like, if Hitler spoke about... Like, if you reworded Hitler's writing about Muslims, I'm sure that she would actually just agree with major parts of it. Like, perhaps, like, not flat-out extermination, but, like, the things like rooting out Islam from society.
And save America, too, because that's what it amounts to. I do...
it's just like this is just who is treated as like a serious political commentator, and it's just like save America. She's all she's doing is posting about New York's fateful choice. I shall be returning to New York and elsewhere or in speaking engagements on the US. She's just an extremist, man. Like, she's just, isn't she a TERF? She's probably a TERF. I mean, it's one, these things go hand in hand. She's also posting everything she does twice. Why am I getting everything she posts twice?
4 different crimes.
The viewers are coming back up, actually, which is nice. But yeah, here's what Trump has to say about Zoran. If communist candidate Zoran Mamdani wins the election for mayor of New York City, it is highly unlikely that I will be contributing federal funds, other than the very minimum required. To my beloved first home, because of the... to my beloved first home... Wait, what? Other than the, federal funds to my beloved first home, because of the fact that, as a communist, this once great city has zero chances of success or even survival. It can only get worse with a communist at the helm, and I don't want to send as president good money. What, the amount of, like, who wrote this? Like, I get it. But why do you need to do, I don't know what you call this, but I know what it is. Like, where you comma and then, like, you know, you're inserting, like, a subclause, maybe? I don't know. But anyway, why does this need to be, like, added in as president? Like, the amount of them up here is just amazing. Other than the amount of commas in this, oh my God. It's amazing. No, of course Trump doesn't believe any of that. Trump doesn't believe anything. You know one thing, though? By the way, if you want to listen to a cool podcast that you might struggle with at first if you've not read Lacan or anything, although it is actually much better explained than the previous one, the Voice Why Theory thing about Trump and actually Putin and Stalin is really good. And especially because on Stalin, they're basically talking about how the Voice operates in terms of politics, and they're talking about... like, Stalin... and other people, Hitler's voice, and Trump's voice. Trump's voice is so much like a part of his appeal and his power, and you can see that even in the way that most of us don't like him, but we like the way he says things. We like the fact that he says China in a funny way, or everything's computer, and that's actually the thing. He can't be replaced by J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance is an auraless hack. I'd highly recommend that you listen to it. But yeah, let's see what else he had to say. And it is my strong conviction that New York City will be a complete and total economic and social disaster should Mamdani win. Why are there now no commas? His principles have been tested for over 1,000 years and never once have they been successful. What? The Communist Manifesto was not written 1,000 years ago. I would much rather see a Democrat who has a record of success win. What? This comma usage is bad, right? You can, the stream's up for ages, but yes, he's sourceless. And actually, wait, there is one thing that I want to look at. Have you ever seen these photos? I know this isn't what he actually would necessarily look exactly like, but look at this. Look at this. Look at this. And see you later, Lajos. Lajos? I'll be live again on Thursday, I think. Maybe I'll go live tomorrow. Don't know. But look at this. Like, Trump without hair and the tan. You do have to admit that he would probably look a lot like that. He looks terrifying. I don't think that that's too much of a stretch of the imagination. Yeah, my father always knew how to use commas very well, and oh my God, the amount that he would put in stuff. Whew. But just look, I'm sorry, I'm in awe of Trump without makeup and hair. It was makeup, tan, and hair. He's giving saggy Putin. Egg. He looks like the guy from Shark Tank. Which one? But yeah, than a communist with no experience. He was nothing as an assemblyman, ranked at the bottom of the class, and as a mayor of potentially, again, the greatest city in the world. He has no chance to bring it back to its former glory. We must also remember this. A vote for Curtis Sliwa, who looks much better without the beret, is a vote for Mamdani. It's really hard to know whether Trump actually wrote this, because there must be things that he's put in here that are not like, because that sounds like a Trumpism. Who looks much better without the beret. Whether you personally like Cuomo or not, you really have no choice. You must vote for him and hope he does a fantastic job. He is capable of it. Mamdani is not. If you're talking about, like, one of them actually has, like, a record, right, of being the mayor of New York. No? Was he the mayor or just governor? But, like, he's done nothing to improve New York. He actually has a track record of it not being better. What is this M- thing that you all speak of? But anyway, right, there's also this before we move on to Dick Cheney's death, which is good.
We just saw Charlie Kirk get shot. Me, you know, people are going to view me as more right-wing from this conversation because I push back on some left-wing policies. Sure. And if Governor Abbott from Texas was here, I'd push back on some right-wing policies. That's what happens. But people are going to see that, and they've already called me fascist and Nazi online just because I say personal responsibility is okay with money. Whoa, scary. But people are labeling.
By the way, I don't think you're a fascist or a Nazi for saying personal responsibility with a Nazi. I think that you are a fascist or a Nazi if you are a supporter of the same kind of right-wing identity politics. But he has a staffer who imitates his voice and writes his tweet. Interesting. The M- makes me think it's...
that and then killing them because they're fascists. Kill all fascists. Okay, maybe that makes sense. But if you label a normal person a fascist, you kill them? What do you think is going on with political extremism right now, and how would you solve it?
I think it's really dangerous when we have leaders who want to fan the flames of anger and violence. I think it will continue to see it grow, which is why I take it so seriously, which is why whether I'm the target of it or one of my colleagues on either side of the aisle is, or the president of the United States is, I speak out against it every single time. Good. I don't make excuse for it. I do not accept it, no matter where it's coming from. It's not okay. And I think it's be refreshing if everyone with a platform did that.
Brilliant. Who even are these people? This is Bright.
We just saw Charlie Kirk get shot.
Caleb Hammer. Top 10 ranked show on YouTube. I don't even know who this guy is. Oh, that's Gretchen Whitmer. Interesting. Thank you for letting me know what M- is. I've seen people talking about it, so it's very helpful. I now know and understand. Okay, right, let's watch Sky News to see a big British news outlet talk about the death of Dick Cheney.
US Vice President Dick Cheney has died at the age of 84, according to a family statement. He first entered politics in its most full-throated sense in 1978. 6 times he was elected to the House of Representatives from the state of Wyoming. He was then also vice president in 2001 to 2009 under George W. Bush, the son of George Herbert Walker Bush. And it was during his time in office that Dick Cheney served as the Secretary of Defense back in the late 1980s and early 1990s. And the family statement says that he died last night.
It's kind of interesting that they didn't mention, you know, that he was also the CEO of an oil company, that Halliburton. That might be a thing worth mentioning, you know. A company that enriched itself considerably through the war that he was a huge influence in. I seem to remember as well, maybe I'm misremembering this, but during Blowback, they kind of talked about like how powerful Dick Cheney was, and that he almost had like that there was kind of a consideration that the government could be wiped out.
On November the 3rd, he was 84 years old. His beloved wife of 61 years, Lynn, his daughters Liz and Mary, and other members of the family were with him as he passed. The former vice president died due to complications of pneumonia and cardiac and vascular disease. The statement going on to say, for decades, Dick Cheney served our nation, including as White House Chief of Staff, Wyoming's Congressman, Secretary of Defense, and Vice President of the United States. Dick Cheney was a great and good man who taught his children and grandchildren to love our country, to live lives of courage, honour, love, kindness, and fly fishing. We're grateful beyond measure for all Dick Cheney did for our country, and we're blessed beyond measure to have loved and been loved by this noble giant of a man. We're joined by our security and defence analyst, Professor Michael Clark. And if you've watched American foreign policy at any point over the last few decades, Dick Cheney's name will have come up at some period of that, whether that's talking about the invasion of Panama, whether that's talking about Saddam Hussein and weapons of mass destruction. He was allowed.
It's kind of interesting that by now they haven't mentioned that there's quite a considerable amount of discourse even around war crimes with him, you know. Like, you would think that, like, a news outlet would talk about that they would say, actually, you know, there are a lot of people who feel very differently about Cheney by now.
Voice when it came to foreign affairs.
He was, in a way, he was actually a quiet voice, but because he didn't speak loudly, and he had a very diminutive manner. But what he said was very important, and, you know, he had a terrific effect on George W. Bush. That he actually, he was a tough guy. And he took tough-minded stances, which put him at odds with some of the allies, actually.
His tough-minded stances were, how can I enrich my former company, and how can I invade a foreign country and tear apart the lives of millions of people? The executive branch of government has much power as it has now. He's instrumental in creating the apparatus that Trump is using. Yes, I was listening to the recent TrueAnon, and they were talking about how there were one with the ACLU guy, and what they were saying is that... like, the Supreme Court took years of engineering that didn't, you know, start with Trump and has continued with Trump and has just been taken to its, well, perhaps not even its furthest yet.
A lot of the European allies really disliked him because they thought that he was the power behind the throne who was pushing America in some quite controversial directions. But on the other hand, he was
controversial. It's amazing the way in which that these people are just happy to speak about war crimes, that they are just continually happy to say this kind of stuff.
He was a very clear-sighted, strategic thinker. People disagreed with his strategy, but you couldn't disagree with the fact that he'd thought it through. He had a reason for doing what he recommended. So he was an influential voice.
He had a reason for doing what he recommended. What was that? What was it that he recommended to do? Invade a country to get more oil resources.
And he was always regarded as sometimes he was regarded as the power behind the throne. Made him unpopular, but it all...
This guy's just repeating himself. He said the power behind the throne tries. And yes, Charlie Kelly, rip bozo indeed. I mean, yes, and tearing apart countries and destabilizing the Middle East and helping to work with and build the new Middle East. Like, a lot of these people bear responsibility as well for the creation of this kind of like new Emirati-dominated Middle East because they let the Emirates and Saudi Arabia get away with what they've done.
Also led to a degree of respect because he was intellectually, I think, very consistent. I mean, almost all of his latter career, he was a fairly, you know, a pretty right-wing, assertive American defense and foreign policy thinker. And he didn't like the Americans to be pushed around as the world policeman who was trying to hold everything together. He coincided with that sort of sense.
It's amazing. Like, this is just a eulogy for someone who should be... Like, if this was a Hamas member, you would call him Hitler of the modern day.
Sense of muscular foreign policy that George W. Bush brought in after Clinton, after in a sense, Jimmy Carter, who'd said all the right things but couldn't carry them through after one term. Bill Clinton, of course, was a different sort of president. He was one of the last of the old internationalist presidents, I think, that we've seen. And he, in a sense, coincided with that Bush-era push to move on, to make America...
To launch a global crusade and kill all of these people. And it's just like, you haven't mentioned any of this. Like, why?
Respected through more obvious force. And he was a tough man to deal with.
And I guess would have done so in the era of Kissinger as well.
Yes. And he drew a lot of inspiration from Kissinger. I mean, Kissinger...
Great. He drew inspiration from from another war criminal, from someone who believed that they were playing a great power game and tore apart the lives of so many people. Like, many of the people that we are taught, like, are the villains of history, like fucking the Khmer Rouge, were backed by Kissinger. Like, Kissinger was like, I'll work with the Khmer Rouge, they sound good. There's a rumor that after 9/11, he made a map dividing the Middle East up among oil companies. I mean, Halliburton just... like, undeniably, and it was advised that that they didn't do it, that they weren't involved, to be allowed to land so softly at the end of their lives. Yes, this is like a major news outlet for 4 minutes not mentioning that maybe some of the things he did were war crimes, not even like insinuating that that is a thing that's talked about. And with 3.5 minutes in, it's amazing. Muscular foreign policy. Like, listen to the way that yes, you're right, the euphemism for the slaughter of tens of thousands of people is unbelievable. And thank you for my comment on the shirt.
Was this great strategic intellect who, and Kissinger wasn't, he's again very controversial. I mean, Kissinger wasn't just a one-line sort of thinker. He could see all.
They really like this photo of Cheney playing baseball.
Sides of things. He was a terrific strategic thinker. But Dick Cheney took a lot of inspiration, I think, from that Kissinger consistency, that if America is going to be the major world power, it has to demonstrate it sometimes. Now, and it gets it wrong. I mean, George W. Bush got it, wrong in lots of respects in the Iraq operation 2003. But there was an
brilliant. So we've heard his first even vague condemnation. He got it wrong in many respects in Iraq. 4 minutes, 15 seconds in.
Actual consistency behind all of that. George W. Bush didn't convey that. They used to say that Condoleezza Rice, his national security advisor, she would put into words that other people could understand what he himself was struggling with, because he wasn't a very clear thinker and he didn't speak very well either. But people like Condi Rice and Dick Cheney, I mean, Condi Rice said a lot. Dick Cheney didn't say much in public, but Dick Cheney had that consistency that he inserted into the president's thinking.
Amazing. Just amazing stuff. Like, this is just the eulogy that someone who tore apart a country and killed so many gets. There's a video of Bernie Sanders talking about his opposition to the Iraq War, which I think is
and based on the mail and
it was on TrueAnon, but I don't want to... I'm going to have to stop this video because some of the things in it I don't think I can show on YouTube, but...
$1 billion a year on the military.
This is an old video of Bernie Sanders, which is sad to see the point he's reached, but then again, I guess he probably didn't change much.
Spending $270 billion a year on the military, but we don't have a major enemy. I know it hurts your feelings. I know you're upset about it. I know you're hoping and praying that maybe we'll have another war. Maybe somebody will rise up. But it ain't happening. The Soviet Union doesn't exist. The Warsaw Pact is through. Who are you worried about? Iraq?
Yeah, I'll stop there. But yeah, like the things he's talking about there, the things he's saying, the things Bernie Sanders was on the money, because like they needed, but that's the thing as well. I think that it's kind of naive not to see it. The UAE, the US needed an enemy. It's the lifeblood of their politics. It's what they need. Genuinely, it's what they need. The American politics can't exist without its enemy. And so of course they were going to look for someone. And Harris did a campaign with Liz. Exactly. And I think that that's something that young people and politically switched on people are just like, why are you doing? And it's like, what you need as Democrats, as left-wing politicians, is to get back the young vote. Like, not actually, I'd say not for the Democrats, but I mean, if you're actually looking to win. But the thing is actually doing that requires making meaningful change and holding American politicians to account. And that is something that the Democratic Party is never going to do, because they're not interested in it, because they are interested in a perpetuation after the system. And yes, that's why they went after Muslims. Muslims were the perfect replacement for the communists. They were like this amorphous enemy whose society, whose values are entirely different to Western society. We just live in an age of McCarthyism that's now focused on Muslims rather than communists, and also mixing the two, to be honest. Owen Jones had a video.
Dick Cheney, the former vice president of the United States, who served under George W. Bush, has just died. This is a tragedy. It's a tragedy Because Dick Cheney was a murderous war criminal who, through his death, has cheated justice. Cheney was one of the architects of the invasion of Iraq, as well as the war in Afghanistan and the so-called war on terror.
The only thing I'd say is, and like obviously his point still stands. The thing about Cheney is that obviously the architecture of the war in Afghanistan was stood back longer, but yes, I mean, yes, it's undeniable that he also played a part in it.
A study by Brown University estimated that around 4.5 million people were killed in the post 9/11 wars. That includes through violence directly, as well as economic collapse and food insecurity, the destruction of public services, health services, infrastructure, environmental contamination. We could go on. Iraq itself, where I visited a few weeks ago, was plunged into blood and chaos and still suffers the terrible consequences today. Dick Cheney escaped justice, but let this be a lesson for us all. Let's make sure that the war criminals of today cannot cheat death. Only by achieving justice for these crimes of historic proportions can we stop the horrors.
Owen Jones is definitely a good video maker, but I don't necessarily like the short delivery on there. I know that that's off topic. Like I like the video's not bad. Of course, it's like a good point and it's a catchy thing of like, oh, him dying is a tragedy, but then obviously it not being a tragedy, because it's not. It's obviously not a tragedy, and the only thing it is a tragedy is he's right that he escaped death. But it's more of a tragedy that that guy is revered as a hero. That still the Democratic Party treat him that he's some kind of like guy who's, you know, a figure worth mourning, bringing out, celebrating, when in reality this guy is someone who is, you know, someone who is just unequivocally a mass murderer. There's no other description of it. This is an interesting article as well. This is talking about it just talks about, I won't read it all, but Bunentine Greenhouse, who I probably wasn't a great person, but apparently Halliburton, the world's largest military private contractor, has made at least $8 billion in war-torn Iraq, doing everything from washing American troops' laundry to setting up vital oil supplies. Now a critically well-placed army employee says contracts were unfairly awarded to Halliburton, whose chief executive used to be US Vice President Dick Cheney. You know, like, this is also, by the way, why I feel like people who focus on like 9/11 was done by Israel are missing what is it? Missing the something for the trees? Missing the wood for the trees? Is that what it is? I don't know. But missing the smoke for the trees? It's not that. But whatever it is, anyway. Why would you focus on that when this is like a real undeniable conspiracy that is in front of us? That Dick Cheney, the company that he was CEO of before he became the vice president, before 9/11, missing the forest for the trees, thank you, but before he was vice president, was literally CEO of, got major deals out of Iraq that made huge amounts of money from Iraq. Also, this figure just looks so small today for how much like people make, but it's obviously not small. It's 4.3 fucking billion profit. And like just doing everything in Iraq. Like that's a conspiracy, bro, that like the 9/11 attacks, maybe, you know, the 9/11 attacks was something that they probably thought that some kind of attack. I don't think they ever anticipated the scale of 9/11, because I do think there's like an American supremacy where they're like, there's an American supremacy that's kind of like, oh, we're so supreme, we'll stop and we'll never be harmed in the way that they harm us. We'll never be harmed in the way that they harm them. I think like, yeah, I don't know. I think it's missing the smoke for the trees is an insane thing. How would it be that? Why would it be missing the smoke for the trees? What did Hannah Arendt do to Goonsler's brain? Don't call me Goonsler, first of all. And Hannah Arendt has done nothing of the sort to my brain. Why would I be gooning over Hannah Arendt? She ain't Leng. Still. Let's check how many zinnies I got. Also, Cheney is widely hated by the American public. Institutions love him, and OVS the media will eulogize him, but he is not loved by the broad majority. No, and I don't think he is, and it's really odd that there's just still this ridiculous desire to cling on to a figure like Dick Cheney from the Democrats and to bring out, to bring them out. And yes, before they invaded Iraq, they were allegedly there, like planning on how they were going to divide up Iraq. It's really just unbelievable. Like what is this desire to cling to him? But again, it's because challenging Cheney, challenging Bush, and how they actually need to be challenged as left-wing political people is out of the remit of the Democratic Party, because they want continued slaughter of third worlders. Like, they do. Third worlders is not the best term, but you know what I mean. Many people have heard Dick Cheney's joke about being called Darth Vader, but few people know the context. In a speech to the Washington Institute for Near East Policy, laying out his uber-hawkish vision and praising former Clinton advisor Dennis Ross, he first brought up the nickname Darth Vader in a 2007 speech. A hawkish think tank found it... Okay, right, I don't need to read that, we've just read it. Some of the Washington Institute figures whom Cheney praised in his speech have been influential throughout the Obama era and beyond. The Institute itself helped staff the Biden administration. Cheney's agenda is bipartisan now. That's the amazing thing as well. Yeah, I mean, this is Petty. I like Petty, Matthew Petty. But yeah, I mean, it's the same with Kissinger and the reaction to his death. Yeah, exactly. You can't challenge these people because they are representative of Western American supremacy and this idea that, you know, oh, we should just not bother holding war criminals to account because, like, then we might have to hold some other people to account. It's crazy, isn't it? But most of you knew me long before anyone called me Darth Vader, Cheney said. I've been asked if that nickname bothers me, and the answer is no. After all, Darth Vader is one of the nicer things I've been called recently. I feel like being a politician and being happily called Darth Vader it is crazy to me. Also, by the way, if anyone wants to read the full article, maybe actually I will just go through the full article because it's not too long. Reason's all right. Like, Petty has some interesting views, and Matthew Petty's getting married. He's good on TrueAnon. But yeah, he's and when I say interesting views, some of you will hate this. He's had chocolate hummus with spaghetti, which I think was a joke, but I don't know. It's crazy. I don't think he's actually doing that. Yeah, I mean, also, by the way, I think he retweeted this, which isn't like some amazing political analysis, but I think it's true. It's really hard not to get wrapped up because American politics is so theatrical and weird. In the same way that, like, all settler colonies politics are weird and theatrical. I guess British politics isn't a settler colony, but they're weird. Yep, Cheney gets blamed by military families for their sons and daughters dying. He was a ghoul. Yeah, which is the funny thing about, like, when people are like, where were the protests about the Iraq War? The protests about the Iraq War were, I guess, relative to the size of populations, were not as big as the Gaza protests in recent years weren't as big. However, it's surprising that Gaza received so much attention because a lot of people who were against the Iraq War were against it on the basis of they lost family members, and particularly poor people were subjected to it. Yeah, was a champion of the war state, right. Cheney died of old age in his own bed, surrounded by loving family. Not a good way to go out for a man like this. In life, he had made sure that hundreds of thousands of people would not enjoy the same privilege. The former vice president had a deep commitment to presidential power, which he had the chance to implement during the so-called global war on terror. The fruits of his efforts were a disastrous war of choice against Iraq, a torture program that dishonored America, and a surveillance state that we still live under. That is only worsening, by the way. Like, this torture, this worsening state, it's only worsening. And this has also given more support to this globally. Although, to be honest, like, let's be frank, like, people were torturing all over the globe, supported by America for decades. One of Cheney's most famous nicknames was Darth Vader, a reference to the villain of Star Wars. Both he and George W., the president Cheney served under, leaned into the epithet for laughs. Epithet. After all, Cheney once shot his hunting partner in the chest, only to have the victim apologize. I've heard that story. Crazy. But Cheney's ruthlessness was not just a matter of eccentric personal behavior. In 2001, he infamously told NBC News that the US government would have to cross over the dark side to keep Americans safe. Asked years later about the fact that 25% of CIA detainees were innocent, including a man who was tortured to death, Cheney said that he had no problem as long as we achieve our objectives. Do you remember yesterday when that guy was telling me, like, that the US government is like the best the best system in the world and that they just don't torture people to death? Like, the UK does the same, so saying that the UK were, like, good in any way is a bit of an insane thing too. But yeah, just, like, reading that, it's like, oh my god. Before becoming the face of the war on terror, Cheney was a cold warrior. As the Ford administration staffer, he pushed back against an attempt to expand the FOI, Freedom of Information Act, in the wake of the Watergate scandal. After a 10-year stint in Congress, he was appointed Secretary of Defense under George H.W. In that position, Cheney oversaw America's post-Cold War displays of muscle, the wars against rogue former client dictators in Panama and Iraq. By God, we've kicked the Vietnam syndrome once and for all, the elder Bush exclaimed in a 1991 speech standing in front of Cheney, who no doubt felt the same. Cheney had entered the government at a time when civil libertarians and foreign policy doves, galvanized by the Vietnam War and the Watergate scandal, were hemming in presidential power. Sorry, I misread that. Now he had a taste of what the White House could do without limits. Cheney even commissioned a study on using nuclear weapons on Iraq, a route the elder Bush thankfully did not take. Along with a belief in unilateral action, Cheney walked away with a specific taste for war in the Middle East. We're always going to have to be involved there, he told PBS in 1996. 10 years later, the younger Bush brought Cheney back into the White House just in time to witness the attacks by Al-Qaeda on September 11th, 2001. There wasn't a dove in the room, Cheney told the crowd, smiling only a few weeks after the massacre. It's kind of Rip Dick Cheney. You would have loved Erica Kirk. He was destined to marry Erica Kirk because, like, Erica Kirk is someone who just, like, has done pretty much the same thing, just, like, smiles over this allegedly tragic event that has, like, incensed America down to its heart because she realizes it's a route to being more politically powerful. And especially because I don't think he was actually going to change on... I don't think Charlie Kirk was going to change on Israel. But what I will say is Charlie Kirk's death means that he can never change on Israel. And that's why Charlie Kirk is the best national American conservative hero. And maybe why we should be believing that it's a conspiracy theory. Because Charlie Kirk, right, like, even if... I don't think he was, but, like, he never can now, if you know what I mean. I remember about those protests. Is their system to down music? Protests against Iraq war were huge in the beginning, but not sustained. Interesting. Yeah, that's the thing about the Gaza protests. There have been some in London that have like petered down, but one of the ones recently that I wasn't at looked humongous, which I unfortunately missed. FOIA. So FOIA, FOI. I've always called it FOI, FOIA, but okay, interesting. FOIA are that's therefore an acronym, not an initialism. Did you know the difference? An initialism is what you would think of as an acronym, but it's actually like a shortening of normally the first letters of a word that you pronounce as, like, with the things. You wrong for that, Chris. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? The Rebel Alliance has the best model for society. I don't know what you're talking about. I'd rather be governed by Mon Mothma circa and/or 2, the abbreviation. Charlie will be at the tiny face. Oh, I see what you mean. Charlie will be the tiny face of Christian nationalism for all. Yes, you're right. Like, Charlie Kirk will, and nationalizing the dead is amazing because a dead man can never change his views. A dead man can never think about the society that he exists in. Keep him as your hero because he'll never disappoint you. I did know the difference. How dare you question my status as a word nerd? I only know the difference because of Alan Partridge. Although Al-Qaeda was an organization run by Saudis and based in Afghanistan, the Bush administration took the opportunity to finish off its unrelated conflict with Iraq. Cheney was one of the principal figures pushing for the war and trying to dig up dubious connections between Al-Qaeda and Iraq. Writing about the push for war a decade later, The Atlantic called Cheney a uniquely irresponsible and mendacious figure in the administration. It's crazy that, you know, that The Atlantic 10 years ago has more important and more prescient analysis of who fucking Dick Cheney is than Sky News does today. Like Sky News of, oh, he was a little controversial, he was a man who was really hard, and we just have some idiotic British war figure, like British military figure, just like eulogizing this guy. I do like Alpha Papa. Yeah, it's not his best work, but it's good. You're wrong for not joining the DXR party. The DXR party are the Hamas of today. That's all I'm saying. Actually, no, that's not true. I'm sorry. They're not Islamic. That's a mistake. The DXR are the Shining Path, the Khmer Rouge, the Communist Party, the Soviet Party. Wow. Really, I love Alan Partridge as well. I'm joking about that, by the way. I love DXR. Guys, will you please start watching my streams again? I love DXR. I love him. Please, guys, donate and watch the streams. I really like DXR, yeah. Yeah. Along with the belief in you, it's crazy as well. One of the things that I'll say is, like, people view conflict as ancient in the Middle East, but one of the things about it is, I told you, read the King Crane Commission. The King Crane Commission talks about how the, Israel would create forever wars in the Middle East. And I think even if the forever wars didn't exist in the Middle East today, I think even if Israel didn't exist, there'd be forever wars. But a big part of that is Israel, and Israel just shouldn't have been made. I think that Israel was just a catastrophic decision by the British Empire, but thus it is one that is unsurprising. Here we go. Cheney knew that what the consequences would be. In 1996, Cheney had warned the US-led regime change effort in Iraq would get bogged down in a long, drawn-out conflict. That prediction came true. The US invasion destroyed Iraqi society and incited 14 years of civil war, including the rise and fall of the Islamic State. I think that's also the crazy thing. You know, when you imagine the Islamic State as just like a band of marauding Muslims who are crazy, in my understanding, a big part and one of the reasons that the Islamic State was so successful militarily was because they were basically made up from former Ba'athist, disaffected regime figures who knew how to fight and were militarized. Apparently, so the Iraq Body Count Project has documented 187,000 to 211,000 civilian deaths, along with another 100,000 combatant deaths. It's crazy as well that you look at that and how long Iraq was bombed for and targeted, that, you know, the death toll in Gaza is just unbelievable, frankly. But then again, there's also things to do with size in Gaza, size of Gaza and the way in which you just can't flee. Yeah. And there are some differences. Israel doesn't have the right to exist. No, Israel does not have Israel has no right to exist. Domestically, the war on terror meant treating the entire American public as suspects, and the Bush administration authorized the National Security Agency to begin warrantless mass surveillance of the population. DXR tithing. Thank you, Sophie. That's what we needed. That's what we needed. We need this to launch the new DXR party in the UK. We're going to attack Zach Polanski and the Greens for not being woke enough and not having the support of the trans rabbis or DXR. That's all I'm saying. An ex-Metropolitan Police officer has been accused of decades of sexual abuse. Brilliant news. Cheney had his own lawyer oversee the program in order to steamroll internal dissent. We are vulnerable, as was shown on 9/11, and you never know what you're going to need when you need it. Cheney later told CNN in the aftermath of former NSA contractor Snowden's revelations that the government had been lying about the full extent of its surveillance. Torture was perhaps the most infamous wartime measure, even though it affected the least number of people. Like the decisions to invade Iraq and authorize mass surveillance, the decision to disappear and torture terrorism suspects without trial was an initiative that Cheney personally saw through, although he later insisted that anything authorized by the State Department didn't count as torture. By the way, also, you've seen the guy, we watched the Latin American CIA chief just talk about, how the people they supported were fine. So, I think Cheney's bad, but, basically every American politician ever is bad, and I think that should be never lost. DXR is the strength of Kanzleria, like it or not. He is the base of the revolution. He is the vanguard of the Kanzlerian revolution. The Kanzlerian Discord revolution is undergirded by DXR. He is the Kronstadt sailors to the Soviets, to the Leninists. But remember beware what happened to the Kronstadt sailors, DXR, if you ever get out of line. I mean, you saw, and also, by the way, for anyone complaining about DXR, the thing about DXR is that he won the poll. Like it or not, that poll was an overwhelming DXR permanent supermajority, unlimited DXR on the Kunzler Discord. But yeah. In the last years, Cheney criticized... during the first Trump administration, Cheney publicly called for the return of enhanced interrogation. What is enhanced interrogation? What is enhanced interrogation? I'm guessing rape, basically. Oh, God. Binding in contorted stress positions, hooding, subjection to deafening noise, sleep disruption, to the point of hallucination, deprivation of food and drink, and medical care for wounds, as well as waterboarding, whaling, sexual humiliation, rape, sexual assault, subjection to extreme heat or cold. By the way, you know what's crazy is, these are all things that Israelis have been doing for like way before what's happening now. And way before Cheney and way before any of this. Israelis love doing this. Israeli loves doing this. In the last years of his life, Cheney criticised both Democratic and Republican administrations, which he thought were too soft on national security, and Cheney was also willing to reach across the aisle to praise his opponents when he thought they were ruthless enough at war. After Obama authorized the assassination program of an American citizen by drone, Cheney called it a pretty good program. This guy was just comically evil. In fact, he brought up that... Oh, we read that earlier. But yeah, okay, guys, right. I think that's the end of today's stream. Today felt a lot better than yesterday. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for supporting, donating. It's greatly appreciated. You know, like donations make streaming possible. They make doing like content creation possible. So thank you all so much. I hope that you all have a lovely rest of the evening. Thank you again for your support. No, I've not seen the Boy vid. Maybe I'll look at that. But yeah, I'm sorry, I'm wheezing. But yeah, thank you all so much. Have a lovely day. Have a lovely evening. And I'll see you again Thursday. Yeah, thank you. No, I've not seen the Boy vid. Maybe I'll look at that. But yeah, I'm sorry, I'm wheezing. But yeah, thank you all so much. Have a lovely day. Have a lovely